I'm with the Liberal Democrat leader for this Bromsgrove School mock election, Oliver Thomas. Hello, Ollie.
Hello.
My first question is about a big issue that got raised with most of the parties, you know, excluding obvious Greens and heads of a party, the 6-inch rule. Now, some people say it should be banned. For instance, monster raving parties should say that we've gone into a new era, but Conservatives think it should stay in place. What are your strong views?
Well, firstly, I'd say that we were the first parties to suggest abandoning the 6-inch rule because it is too authoritarian. It's not something that the majority of the pupil body believe in, and we are moving forward as a school, moving forward into the future, and we shouldn't be so negative and traditional, and we should move with the times, and I think abolishing an authoritarian rule would do that.
Now, another thing that's come into this election is hung parliaments. Now, who do you think you would make a pact of an alliance with if there was a hung parliament?
Personally, you see in real life Nick Clegg not very open with the people, not very open with his voters, and not very open with society as a whole about the hung parliament. Personally, I wouldn't enter into any coalition whatsoever. I wouldn't join anyone. This is a mock school election. There can only be one winner. There's no need for hung parliaments. And quite frankly, I would believe in winning rather than working with anybody else.
Okay, and another thing, Conservatives. Now, I know that the Conservatives, this is a safe Conservative seat in most people's eyes. Now, if you think about it, what did you think about the Conservative people? Because the people in the audience of the debate, personally, in my opinion, were very kind of loud. What would you think about that?
Well, I just think it shows the childish nature of the Conservative Party. They don't actually have many policies. They talk the talk, but they don't necessarily walk the walk. And I think that was proved over on Friday. They're just so negative against other parties, because personally against me, because they see the Liberal Democrats as a threat, because I believe that my party represent the student body the most in the best way, whereas the Tories just represent their parents, which is not what we need, and their parents aren't voting in their election, the students are.
Yeah. Okay, another thing also that got raised in the debate, economics. What would you do for this school? Because we've got the Green Party who want to put renewable energy in. What would you do?
Well, firstly, we've seen how the Conservative Party have said that they would introduce a system of cucumber sandwiches and pims. Not very realistic. Also, we've seen the Greens. Renewable energy is something that the Liberals believe in as well. We have representatives who are going to push forward after the school elections with the sustainable development of the school, working with the, I think it's the Green Committee of the school. We have pledged, we are the only party who have pledged to move forward after the election and not just have it as a one-off thing, which is why our policies are realistic, whereas the Conservative Party, they're not.
Yeah, and that brings us on to a new thing about the Green parties as well. What would you do for the environment? Because as raised in the Monster Reagan Looney Party interview yesterday, I asked him, what would you do? Because Bromsgrove School hasn't got much recycling, hasn't got much things that can be recycled. What would your party do for the school?
Well, I think the first key issue is paper. We waste an incredible amount of paper, particularly in the art and design department at the school. Although there are certain recycling areas in place in houses and different departments, they're not necessarily used very well, and I would definitely concentrate more on more regulation of what pupils waste paper, definitely make pupils make more use of the renewable energy resources that, well, the renewable recyclable paper that we have within the school.
Okay, and my final question. In your debate, you specifically mentioned tuition fees for universities, immigration and Europe. Now, there's a big question here. This is a school mock election. Why would you want, what's best for What do you want? Would you want the best for the school, or would you want what's best for London?
Personally, I think we focus, yes, on the outside issues like Europe, immigration and the environment and whatever, and university tuition fees, but they all apply to us as a student body, not necessarily now but certainly in the future. I think although we did speak about Europe and the European Union, we are linked to that, as there are 36 different nationalities in school, or 38, I can't remember the exact number, and that is important for us as a student body because it does actually relate to us and it relates to the future. Also, university tuition fees, it is something to do with the school because the majority of us will go on to university and do want to study at university. Yeah. Personally, definitely, we all want the best for the school, and which is why we are the only parties who have said that we will do things after the election which are realistic.
Do you think you could look into that camera and tell the audience that's watching that people should vote for the Liberal Democrats other than what they think they should vote for Conservatives or possibly amongst the Labour Unity Party? Why do you think you should get their votes?
Well, I'm going to be honest, the majority of people who do know me are not necessarily my biggest fan, probably because I advocate my true feelings, which I think is realistic, and we are the only party who are realistic. The Conservative Party are all style, they walk the walk but they don't talk the talk. I think we are the only party to offer real policies, offer policies that can be implemented after the election, and offer policies that you all agree with.
Thank you, Ollie.
Thanks very much.